Time zones, internet lag, and impending college can be cumbersome things indeed. It's because of those things that I couldn't get my guest, Ravage Gokhan, onto this particular episode, so please, accept my humblest apologies. His name is Joseph, and I hope dearly to have him on at some point. His voice is deep, his thoughts are insightful, and generally he's just a nice bloke to talk to. Now, as you've already guessed from the title, this episode is about Raging Blast 2. But really, it's about where the Dragon Ball franchise is today in terms of gaming. Safe to say it's already leapt over the proverbial shark by several miles. It's difficult to justify the creation of these games annually. There are several problems that surround them. Most people have worked out that the formula for Atari really goes thus. The first game is unrefined in fighting and thus isn't fun. It makes enough money to improve upon this greatly in the second game, but it lacks a certain oomph. It's only when steroids are finally charged into the third installment that we get a truly great experience out of playing those memorable characters. Simultaneously, something in the fighting system becomes broken. So yes, we acknowledge that the games aren't perfect and probably never will be, but they can be immensely fun to play if they're refined. We know that Atari did this twice, once with Budokai and another with Budokai Tenkaichi. Thinking that they could make the coveted lightning strike thrice, they set out on releasing Burst Limit in 2008, aka the Blu-ray Budokai 1 Redux. It failed pretty miserably, and so to mine their other successful fighting engine, they dug up the remains of Budokai Tenkaichi, releasing Raging Blast at the end of 2009. Both games suffered from the same problems. The third in the series of their predecessors had made improvements to a certain standard, thus a better game than those would have been expected. Instead, it reverted back to the problem scene, almost killing all of the progress made. We had less characters, a less fulfilling campaign, and near to nothing of any replay value whatsoever. Instead, all people are paying for are shinier graphics with each succeeding title, when that isn't what the series is all about. You see, what I'm getting at is that the holy grail of Dragon Ball games following the original story should have been made in 2008. 8 attempts under Atari's belt should be more than enough trials to go balls to the wall and give something worthwhile to the fans. There isn't an excuse for not doing this by 2010. Even things that could have been added on afterwards would have been perfectly fine, if not more lucrative for them to do, with later releases through priced downloadable content. Other companies have done this before, and it's worked magnificently. So why can't the developers catch on to this? To give a selling point to Raging Blast 2, we have improved graphics. We have more characters and an extra 30 minutes of footage. The graphics don't mean anything. The characters have been seen before, and more are available in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, although the extra footage does sound a little interesting. It's a remake of the Plan to Kill the Saiyans animation from an ancient Dragon Ball Z game, and whilst this isn't a bad decision to make, it's one that's been very poorly implemented. What people are forgetting is that Dragon Ball isn't about grandiose fight scenes on an epic scale. It's about an adventure, something that took a very young Son Goku on many travels to learn about the hyperbolic and insane world around him, juxtaposing dinosaurs with technology far beyond ours, finding a mystical treasure that could grant a wish, and having immeasurable fun and tragedy along the way. That's why the Dragon Ball arc of Tenkaichi games is so short, because the focus wasn't on the fighting back then. There's a whole cavern of untapped potential in these games, simply in redirecting some of the focus in the development. Infinite World took things rather gallantly, albeit rather mediocrely, with the minigames, since they helped to break up the monotony of battles. If the development team of Dragon Ball games for the main consoles would just take a break from putting these games out annually, and actually work towards something of substance, then perhaps they'd make something that was worth a damn for the first time since 2007. It isn't like Grand Theft Auto where you have a whole world that needs to be conjured up from scratch and inspiration. There's a plethora of source material and endless possibilities to draw from. You have fan bases, you have new mechanics that you could draw from, and lest we forget actually creating new characters and new arcs that put them in new scenarios. Namco Bandai, why not shake things up for the fans a little? That, I think, is what would make Akira Toriyama proud. So thank you for listening. Again, apologies for not having Ravage on. I really would have wanted him on, but I've explained already what happened. I don't even know when our timetables will allow us to do this thing, but if not, then the next 2 episodes will be reviews of Budokais 2 and 3, and then I'll get onto some more tutorials, the first being on drawing hair, and the second one will be on anti-aliasing effectively. See you next time! This has been a DBZ Vortex podcast. Our community is based at www.dbzvortex.tk or forum.dbzvortex.tk. Head over there for a core Dragon Ball Z fanbase, fun people to talk to, and most of all, top-notch LSW sprites that nowhere else on the net has.